Hi, this is Jessica Fung at Project Blue, sharing another short video for our clients and partners with insights from our consulting work. So it's been a busy week in DC, the Critical Minerals Ministerial Meeting. It's that playbook where the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. And by that, I mean things are happening. The diversification of supply chains is in motion. Most of the time, it's really easy to look at all the talk in the past and just say it's all talk, nothing's going to change. The Rio Tinto Glencore deal, for example, we had published what the challenges were for those two companies to merge. So it's not surprising that talks have broken off again. But for critical mineral supply chains in 2026, it's a different story. For the first time, individuals at the highest level of government have actually said the words that the mining industry has been saying for decades. If you can't grow it, you need to mine it. So let's dig into one topic that's been driving headlines this week, Project Vault, a $12 billion critical mineral stockpile that is proposed to be directed by industrial users. The companies that make our cars, our household goods, and communication devices. This is very different than the DLA's National Defense Stockpile, which is only available to the military and was really built up and then mostly depleted over the last 70 years. It got to the point where 15 years ago, analysts just stopped including the DLA stockpile in supply demand models. I guess that should have been a sign right there, right? So the thing is, how that $12 billion of critical mineral inventory is going to look is not defined because it depends on who is actually participating, and so what industry they're in, which materials are their priorities, and how they think about price risk. So we can make some general assumptions, and I think there have been some charts out there based on US domestic demand and import dependencies. And so that's a place to start. But I can tell you that we have been quite surprised by the markets that some of our clients have come to us about. It's not what you would expect on the surface because there are so many critical components and materials that are used in the tooling and manufacturing process that most people are just not aware of and that are critical minerals. So back to Project Vault as a concept, and here's why we think it could actually materialize. So first, $10 billion of the $12 billion is funded by Exim Bank, who everyone knows has been mobilized in a big way over the last 24 months to take action on the critical mineral supply chain mandate. This $10 billion loan has already been approved by Exim's board. And so clearly it is within their broader $135 billion lending budget, which is already approved by Congress through this year. So the money is there, and the money will finance working capital inventory off balance sheet for the companies who are participating. Second, we know that critical mineral supply security is a real concern by industry because this is the work that we do for clients, especially from the downstream. So some of the questions that we answer are, where is new supply going to come from and when? Where are the bottlenecks in the midstream? And is recycling a possible source of supply? And where does this happen? And finally, we've had the question come in from some of our clients that said, if we wanted to stockpile materials, and typically this is for their suppliers, on behalf of their suppliers, what could this look like? So this last question on stockpiling is really important because each industry and end product requires critical materials in different forms. Some use metal, some use alloys, some use oxides, some need other specifications. And as it stands, and as we are all becoming very aware, not all of these products can be sourced easily outside of China right now. And some of them require really special storage conditions, like storage in oil or some other oxygen-free environment. So this brings me to the final reason why we think Project Vault could actually be taken up. because people in the operating in the real world are involved. And by this, I mean experienced critical mineral traders have been explicitly named, and they have the expertise and network to source, move, and store this very diverse group of materials. For many years in the US, but also Europe and elsewhere, traders were not part of the conversation. They were not at the table when policymakers and academics sat around trying to figure out how to compete with China's lithium ion battery supply chain. When the EU was writing sustainability policies, they were not considering the reality of how complicated sourcing the right materials for this industry could be. And we recently did a project working with some traders to figure out what demand and supply would look like over the next few years in a specific region for a specific end use, because this can help inform them on where and how to set up shop. So these three things put together, we've got authorized funding from EXIM with a clear critical minerals mandate. We have industrial clients that are asking us about stockpiling specifically to make sure that they can avoid downtime at their plants. And we have experienced players who actually know how to store critical materials for this stockpile. And this all makes us think that this could really happen. The final note is that Project Vault is not happening in isolation. There are a lot of other moving pieces that are coming into place to see the diversification of supply chains happen over coming years. But that's for another video. Thanks for listening. Any questions, please reach out.